Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Kennedy Kampamba channel, whereby I'm bringing to you what is happening in Zambia, what is trending in Zambia politically and everyday life. Please like and subscribe to my channel and enjoy my channel. Thank you very much.
We are here again to discuss serious national matters. As you may well be aware, we always endeavor to bring you the best content in the country. And we apologize sincerely for bringing the program a bit late. This is largely because the President was attending a joint press briefing by the opposition leaders and civil society organizations. And today in the studio we have the Vice President of the Patriotic Front, Honorable Given Lubinda, to discuss with us the issues around the political landscape of Zambia. Honorable Lubinda, good evening.
Good evening, viewers, and let me be the one who apologizes for delaying the program. Indeed, I was attending a joint press briefing of opposition political parties. So please excuse me for being late.
Noted. Apology well accepted, Mr. President. Today we are here to discuss a very, very important topic, and we will traverse across a number of issues that have been happening in the last couple of weeks, as well as fall back on the performance of the UPND since they took over office in 2021. I'm your host, Collins Mwansa Muripa, to take you through the deliberations for the night on the platform. Mr. President, perhaps we start with the issue that has caused your delay to come to the studio tonight. You were just coming from a joint press briefing by the opposition political leaders, civil society organizations, and also faith-based organizations. What was the objective of the joint press briefing, and what major issues were you trying to highlight as a team?
The stakeholders, the various stakeholders we met today, were raising concerns on the diabolical activities surrounding the Zamstats summary report of the census 2022.
Okay.
And this diabolical event is the decision by government to use the chairman of the Civil Service Commission, Dr. Beane, to rubbish the report and to declare it null and void. This has never happened in the history of Zambia, and to my knowledge, it has never happened anywhere in the world where a census report prepared by government, by a wing of government, is disputed by government itself. This is unprecedented. And the revelations by Beani that the Zamstats were not supposed to have released that report before heeding the instructions of the head of state, that the head of state gave them instructions to change the data. This raises a lot of anxiety in the people, because what is the validity of the report? How can that report be relied upon if we're being told that the head of state was giving instructions on the manipulation of data? This is the reason why the various opposition political parties, civil society organizations, and faith-based organizations decided to address this matter at the press briefing that was held earlier this evening. And I have to add that a census is conducted following laid down international procedures. And those procedures must be met so that the report itself is respected internationally, because the data that is provided through a census is not only data that is used by the local country, it is data that is relied upon by the international community. The United Nations, for example, in making decisions on how to handle issues that affect the international community will rely on data that is provided by the various sovereign states. And if it appears, as it is appearing now, that data that is provided by sovereign states is manipulated, then it loses its efficacy, it loses its credibility. And if it loses its credibility, then nobody will respect it, nobody will use it. What that will call for is a new census. And in this particular case, I am of the view that because this report has been declared null and void by government, then we ought to re-engage stakeholders. And as things stand, we therefore may actually be doing well to reconstitute the Zamstats board and to reconstitute the people who are going to collect the data, and the people who are going to analyze the data and present it. Because I don't think that I personally would rely on the data that has been presented by the Zamstats, given the fact that Beani has told us already, has told the country that that report is subject to abuse, is subject to manipulation. It therefore follows that the information that is contained in there, the data that is contained in there, cannot be relied upon. Now, besides that data not being relied upon for development planning purposes, you must also bear in mind that that data plays a very critical role in allowing citizens to decide on who to lead them. It is that information, it is that data that will inform opposition political parties on which people to target, to campaign to, for them to have a chance of winning elections. And if that data is said to be manipulated, then you start to wonder what the relationship is between that data and the data that is being provided by the Electoral Commission of Zambia with regard to voters. What actually even raises bigger worry is that Beani himself has questioned how 15 wards in the southern province would have registered more voters in the 2021 elections than the census has shown as the total population in those 15 wards in the 2022 census. The question that begs an answer is, how possible was this, that in these 15 wards in 2021 there were more voters than the population that the census found in 2022 in those same polling stations? And when we say the population here, we're not talking about the population of voters, no, but the total population, including those people who are underage, who are ineligible to vote. What happened? You know, this is a glaring revelation which raises concern. And I think that it will be good for government to come out clean on this matter. And the best thing they can do is to just disband the Zamstats board and bring in a new board and restart the census. And because the census is financed by the government and other institutions of governance, such as the UN and so on, and the private sector, it also ought to be brought to the book that those players must also be allowed to monitor the process of enumeration and the process of data analysis and the process of producing the report, so that what we'll end up with is a report that will be generally accepted by all. If the report is disputed now, then all decisions based on the census will be disputed. And we must avoid that, because this is what brings conflict. Yes. If, for instance, today or yesterday you heard the president saying there are some wards, some constituencies that are overly populated, and if we're going to distribute CDF, which he likes very much, if we're going to distribute CDF equitably, then we must start delimitation of these constituencies. Now, if you're going to say Kabwata constituency has so many people, and because of that, we're going to delimitate it. But then there is also a ward somewhere which has a similar population with Kabwata.
Mm-hmm.
And that ward is going to receive the same amount of support as Kabwata. Obviously, the people of Kabwata will ask, can you show us empirical evidence that this ward that you want to equate to Kabwata really has the same number of people?
Yes.
You see, so the census report is extremely crucial. It is a report that brings people together and people start to plan based on a similar understanding of the demographics of the country.
Mr. President, one concerning issue here is that it has the Zamstat report has brought in also revelations from the Electoral Commission of Zambia of a bloated number of voters in a particular area. What concerns the opposition at this point is how could it have happened that the Electoral Commission of Zambia registered more voters than the population in the cited areas?
That's a very important question. And you may recall that in the run-up to the 2021 elections, there was a lot of debate about who was being registered. And you may recall that some people quarreled with the suspicion that there were some underage people who were being made to register in some parts of the country. There are also allegations about double registration. So probably that is what happened, that in some areas people double registered. They register in 2 different polling stations, 2 different wards. That is the only explanation that can be given as to how in a particular polling station, in a particular ward, or in a particular constituency, they are more registered voters than the population. That's the only explanation.
So can we conclude that there was or there has been skirmishes to actually manipulate data in wanting to actually rig elections in hindsight?
You also saw how people in some parts of this country were captured on video stuffing ballot papers. There were people who were shown on video, and the police tried to stop them with a slap on the wrist. They found people stuffing ballot papers, but the police just slapped them on the wrist. Stop what you're doing. They didn't arrest. So what I'm trying to say is that quite often people have the notion that it is the ruling party that can manipulate elections. But now we're seeing that actually it is also possible for the opposition to manipulate. Now, if, for instance, the people who were designated to go and register these voters were compromised, then obviously they would register underage people, they would register people who are not necessarily supposed to be registered in those particular polling stations and those particular wards. This is evidence, that's what is coming out.
So are we looking at infiltration of the Electoral Commission of Zambia in those areas where such discrepancies have been highlighted?
It is possible. I can't discount that.
How then,
it is possible.
How then do you rate the credibility of the Electoral Commission of Zambia?
You know, if it could happen then when we had really independent commissioners, I shudder to imagine what the situation can be now with the non-cadres leading the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Now we know that the Electoral Commission of Zambia is headed by a cadre in the name of Mwangala Zalomis. She can't come on this television station and deny the fact that she is a cadre of the UPND.
What gives you the conviction that she's a cadre?
Because she is a cadre. She is a member of the UPND. And we saw how she was campaigning for UPND in the run-up to the 2021 elections. We saw how McDonald Chipenzi, running an NGO, was campaigning actively for UPND. They were seen in UPND regalia. I mean, a person who is a cadre will be seen by their activities. A person who is neutral, who qualifies to be given the responsibility of running an institution that is meant to be independent, will also be seen from their conduct. But Mwangala Zalomis's conduct in the run-up to the 2021 elections does not qualify her to be considered independent. As a matter of fact, Mwangala Zalomis has always been a political person. You may recall that she was a member of the Central Committee of UNIP. She has always been actively involved in politics. It is the same as taking me after the elections of 2026. You take me and make me chairman of the Electoral Commission of Zambia. For heaven's sake, I don't qualify. The fact that I've been an active politician disqualifies me from heading an institution which is meant to be independent. Even if I was to say I've retired from politics, the fact that I was an active participant in politics for a particular political party, it means that I have that persuasion. And I can't divorce myself from my own history. So, when I say Mwangala Zalomis is a cadre, it is because of what she has been all her life. When I say Chipenzi is a cadre, it is because he has been a cadre all the time. Chipenzi even applied to stand as Member of Parliament on the UPND ticket.
What can the political players do to address the concerns that you are raising with regards to Mwangala Zalomis and McDonald Chipenzi?
It is to tell President Hakainde that if you really want to have free and fair elections in 2026, do that which is right. Remove your cadres from the ECZ and replace them with genuine, independent citizens whose interest is to ensure that we have credible, well acceptable elections. The world is not short of examples of countries that have not known peace on account of the people perceiving of their elections as having been unfair. The world is not short of such examples. And I don't think that Hakainde Hichilema must be blind to that fact and set ourselves for an election that is bound to be disputed. Disputed purely because he has his cadres running the Electoral Commission of Zambia.
That raises serious concerns because already there is this discomfort that you, the opposition, have with the members of the Electoral Commission of Zambia. So going into the 2026 elections, don't you think that the outcome will be certainly disputed?
It certainly will. There's no question about it. I mean, I want to emphasize that even now, I personally have no respect whatsoever for the outcome of the elections we have held in Kawambwa, in Pambashe, in Petauke.
Even Petauke?
Even Petauke.
Which you won?
Which we won. I have no respect for those results.
You think there were skirmishes to manipulate even in Petauke?
The reason why I have no respect for them is because they were superintended over by cadres. And knowing cadres like myself, I have an interest to serve for my party.
That can't be divorced from
That can't be divorced from me. I am on this television program here because I'm a cadre of the Patriotic Front, a cadre of the Tonse Alliance. And I'll say things here in the interest of my political party. And when you give me a government job, surely I'll be biased towards my political party. Now, if you have a person whom you don't trust to handle an election for you, and you win, do you clap your hands and say we have won? No. You say we have won because probably their shenanigans did not work.
Did not work.
And this is what I've said before. I've also cautioned people who have made comments, negative comments about Pambashe and Kawambwa voters, that these people are not sensitive. No! You're making a big mistake. I've heard some people saying, we salute the people of Eastern Province because the people of Eastern Province voted for opposition. Yes, they did, but they did something which probably the people of Pambashe and Kawambwa did not do. which is to ensure that the rigging machinery of UPND and ECZ does not win in Petauke. The youths in Petauke went to polling stations. They stood at polling stations. You saw them at midnight saying, declare Simon as a winner. Awinakale, declare. Awinakale. That whole movement is probably what made it impossible for them to rig, which they did not do, unfortunately, in Pambashe and Kawambo. But for me, who was in that area to campaign, when I just recollect the messages people were giving us, teti tubavotera abantu bali kakachirangwa kanshi ekyo bakakire kirangwa balefu okutya tibese basende ekipona kyakwa kirangwa MP weso twasalira efwe ikirema kyesu bakipera omulando